Okay. So just to give some context for my challenges, so I work in CPU verification, so my challenges will be based around CPU verification. More broadly speaking, they could be regarded as sort of IP, functional, digital verification. Okay, so my first challenge relates to complexity of verification environments. So I think there's various sources of data I could have used to demonstrate this. I could have looked at lines of code or man-months. These are bug curves. The ones from a CPU project, the ones from another project involved in another complex IT. So probably can't see what they're saying. But the okay. So the essence of these curves, so these are bug curves, as I said, and the essence of them is that we're actually finding a lot more bugs in our verification environments than in our design. So this is, there's so much raw data. It could be analyzed and maybe look a bit different, but overall, this is the way it looks. This is particularly true of these complex bits of IP. If we look at bug curves for simpler IP, it looks quite different. So the question really here is, do these methodologies, which work very well on these simpler bits of IP, do they scale well to the complex IP? And these sort of curves would suggest to me that perhaps they don't. Just another couple of comments on them. So clearly, debug is an issue. Everyone spends a lot of time on debug. Some people say 30%, some people say 50%. And this suggests that as verification engineers, maybe sometimes a lot of that effort is down to of our own making. And this kind of data would also back up the sort of suggestion that you tend to spend maybe twice as much time on verification as on design. So this 70-30 split is often reported, and this would kind of tie in with that. So my first challenge is that verification environments for complex IP should be simpler. So a simple metric to measure this would be the number of bugs found in the verification environment should be fewer than design. And ultimately, the effort spent on functional verification should be rather less than spent on design, because we don't have to worry about things like frequency, area, and power. So my second challenge relates to the agility of verification environments, the agility, how adaptable verification environments are to change requirements. So I think our experience is when we get late change requirements, which we often do, then instead of getting something like a 2-to-1 ratio between verification and design effort, it goes up to something like 10-to-1 or even higher. So I've got a pretty extreme example here, but it actually happened in a planning meeting I was involved in. A late change requirement came in. The design engineer involved said, okay, this is simple for me. All I have to do is put an extra OR gate into the design, and the job's done. And then we analyzed the effect on the verification, and it turned out to be 4 weeks still at the time. It's a slightly awkward situation to be in. So, so our verification environment in this case is not very so an observation here is that the reason the designer, so the question is why so much extra effort to verify so little implementation? And I think it comes down to the fact that the designer, he knew his design well, and he knew the impact of the changes. So he knew his implementation, and he knew exactly how to change that to meet the requirements. Whereas in verification, we try to take a very black box approach. So we try to verify verify every possible implementation. And when a change comes in, we have to verify every possible change about every possible implementation, and end up with a rather large process to do. So I suggest one possible approach to offset this would be to take a more white box approach to verification, especially at unit level. So if you break up your IP into different design units and verify these in a more white box approach. And when you start thinking of doing this, you kind of quickly go towards considering techniques used in agile software development. So the question there is, do these agile techniques in software development, do they translate to hardware? And I think there's been some thought about this. But I haven't seen many publications reporting on successful failures of doing this. So I'd be interested to know if anybody else has any information on this. So the second challenge is to make verification environments more adaptable, and a sub-challenge there would be is do these agile techniques translate to hardware? So those first two challenges are more, I guess, methodology and process related. This is maybe a more tool-related challenge. So basically, when we're doing verification, we have or simulation-based verification. We have a couple of choices. We can take a directed approach, maybe even graph-based or something, or we can take a random approach, or we can do both. And I think when you take a directed approach, it's very efficient. Every simulation you do is checking something new, but it's difficult to fix. And I think most people would find involved in random verification. The problem with random generation is that it seems that we simulate a lot of the same cases over and over and over again. So we spend a lot of simulation cycles just doing the same thing. So this can lead to long project schedules and a long time to verification closure. So the question really is there some kind of middle ground? Is there something in between these this very directed approaches and these random approaches? So something along the lines of random mutation, maybe taking some very promising simulations and mutating them somehow in order to hit coverage, rather than starting afresh each time with a new random generation.
Thanks, Tim. We have got time for a question. If anyone's got any questions for Tim, I'm determined to get a question at some point. Oh, sorry. Make me run. Nick Hayden.
You mentioned that you're seeing verification requiring like twice as much resource. Is that something reflected in the way the teams are being built? Is there twice as many people being? Because that's not what I'm seeing from the outside from other customers, even though they're saying this. I'm interested to hear what opinion you
have. If we look at the CPU team, maybe the split's more 50-50. But if you look at the activities people do, then maybe you get so you might get design engineers doing a lot of debug, for instance, which might be regarded as a verification activity. So in terms of the teams, maybe the split's not 70-30, but maybe in terms of the sort of effort going in, maybe it's more like 70-30.
Okay. Roger Shepherd, ST.
It seems to me that your designers aren't doing a good enough job of designing correctly. And I kind of mean that, I say it like that, but the point behind that is I've observed that the separation of design and verification is causing design.
Yeah, it's hard to comment on, I think, because there's no point of comparison, I don't suppose. But maybe, yeah, so maybe that's true. Maybe, yeah, designers feel that if there are bugs in there, they will be found, and the better the verification gets, the easier it is to fill that way. If you start to think of using more agile approaches, maybe to verification, then you could think of having a designer and a verification engineer working very closely and delivering very high quality units into a top level into a top level IP, and then you'd probably find that your debug problem was a lot reduced. You'd be doing a lot more debug down at these unit levels and a lot less up at this more complex IP level.
Okay, I'm going to hand over now. Thank you very much.